Welcome to NuttieBuddie Sports.
Hey everybody, welcome back to NuttieBuddie Sports. And on today's episode, this clip, we're just going to talk about the trade that happened. The Detroit Pistons acquiring Alec, Burks, Nerlens, Noel, 2 second-round picks, and $6 million in cash from the New York Knicks. And in addition, basically the Knicks free up cap space. That's the trade. So what does this mean for each team? I'm just going to give you my thoughts very briefly. I'll start with the Knicks. It's just a way to get Brunson. That's it. It sounds like that's who they're all in on. That's who they want to get. That's their free agency prize. I'm a little concerned for Knicks and even Knicks fans because I really don't know how much Brunson is going to change life for the Knicks. You know what I'm saying? Like, I don't know if he's the type of player that you want as your number one offensive option. And that, like, you know, you'll have RJ Barrett, you'll have Randall still, Obi Toppin. Hopefully he gets more time. Cam Reddish is still available on your roster I shouldn't say available, but he's on your roster. Maybe he'll grow a little bit, but I don't know. It's sort of interesting to me. The way this roster is constructed is not really like you're one player away, and that player is not Jalen Brunson, in my opinion. Really surprising that the Knicks are so high on him. I know that they hired his father for a position, I think, as the Knicks for the New York Knicks, I should say. Sorry about that. But I mean, overall, it makes sense to open up the cap room for the Knicks, I suppose, but it doesn't really make sense. I'm not sold on Brunson. I'm not sold as Brunson, honestly. So we'll see how that works for the Knicks, but they did open up cap room. We'll see what they do with it. And Knicks fans must hopefully Brunson works out for you guys. That's all I'll say about that. He's like 6 foot. That's another problem I have. But anyway, Piston talk, because I'm a Piston fan. I'm going to focus a little bit more on the Pistons. All the reporting right now is that it sounds like the Pistons are going to go into the season with Alec, Burks, and Nerlens Noel on the roster. So what does this mean for the Pistons? Well, it means, I think once they drafted Ivy and Duran, it put them in a position where they were comfortable not making huge moves this free agency. If you really think about it, when all those rumors were coming out about Ayton and Bridges, that was before the draft. And it was probably when the Pistons didn't know that they were going to have a chance at Ivy and have a chance at Duran. And once they got those two guys and they're really high on those two prospects, I think they kind of change gears, which I really admire, that they're being adaptable. You know, I think teams need to be more adaptable with what is thrown at them. So not only are they adaptable, but taking on these contracts and getting more picks means that they'll have more trade assets. They have about $15 million in cap moving into free agency. So we'll see if they maybe make an offer for Monk just to, you know, get some shooting on the team. But Bridges is out and Ayton is out. And I'm actually thankful for that. If you didn't see my last video, I talked about the draft and what I wanted the Pistons to do in the offseason. And I was very clear that I did not want them to sign a max player this offseason. I wanted them to focus on keeping that cap room for a situation like this, where a team will pay you or give you assets to take on their contracts. Now, here's the nice thing about these two players' contracts and being on the Pistons. They both have a team option for next year. So Alec Burks is $10 million a year and Nerlens Noel is $9 million this year. But after this year, you get that $19 million back. Now, you also have Marvin Bagley's offer sheet on the table right now, and I think that's about $7 million-ish. And that's where we get down to 15. And I think the Pistons will take that see what he does this year. And if he doesn't work out with the team, they'll move forward without him. And if he does really good, I think that the Pistons will sign him to a fair deal moving forward, because they'll have the money open up, not only with his $7 million that will come off the books to help re-sign him, but also with Nerlens and Burks contract coming off of the books. And here's the other thing. I think what we know is that Burks and Nerlens contracts are both very, very tradable. So I read somewhere that they are going to stick with these two guys moving into the season, but that doesn't mean that at the trade deadline, you can't make moves with these two guys. It makes basically anybody on your roster a little bit more expendable because you have these two guys on the roster as well. So let's say halfway through the season, you're not big on Bagley, but there's a team that'll offer you something. You don't have to sit there and be like, well, how will that hurt our front court depth? Because guess what? We got Nerlens, Noel, we have Duren, we have Isaiah Stewart. So we can trade Nerlens or Bagley, I should say. We could trade Bagley. And it's the same for like the guards, Corey Joseph. Kelly Olynyk is probably going to be traded, I'm hoping. But it's going to be interesting to really see what the Pistons do, because they do have a congested front court right now. I imagine Olynyk will be gone, but right now we'll just wait and see. And even their backcourt, it's like, man, they got a lot of guys. I like Alec Burks, by the way, but ultimately I think he'll be traded. So now, personally, the only problem I have with this trade, I feel like, again, I wish they could have got like a first round pick. Is that a little selfish? Like, if, let's say, and they're both expiring contracts, which is great, but you're taking them onto your books to not allow you to go out and get free agents. So I feel like a first round pick would have been worth it to take both these guys off the books. But maybe, and this is why I kind of don't like it, is because after what Troy Weaver did to get Duren, it's like, I got to trust that because it seems like when he makes a move, he has another move and another move in mind. So it's almost like it's a domino effect. So we saw how that worked with the Jeremy Grant trade. It went from Jeremy Grant to a late first round pick to a mid first round pick, the 13th pick, and got Duren. And that was a great move. So again, I guess we'll see what happens. Now the $15 million in cap can again be salary dump, or let's say for instance, let's say if Charlotte still wants to get rid of Gordon Hayward and they want to like put a first round pick to it, you can trade one of these guys and you'll have the cap room. I think you'd have to trade. Well, he's 30 million. So probably not. That probably wouldn't work out. But you understand what I'm saying? That if there's a guy that's like 29 million, I mean, not 29, 25 million, you could trade Alec Burks, and you still have the cap room space to take on the rest of that salary without going over the cap. So it'll be interesting to see how this plays out. Now, I was kind of hoping if they did make a trade with New York that Cam Reddish would be part of the trade. I really like Cam Reddish, and I was hoping he would be a Piston, but that's okay. That's okay. So anyway, I think I hit everything I wanted to. Again, I really like this move. I don't think it's the greatest move, but I like it. I like it because I can see where Troy Weaver is probably going with this. There are going to be veteran teams that will want these two players by the trade deadline. And hopefully we can get late first round picks for the Pistons could. So that's all I got for this deal. It was very interesting, like out of nowhere. But again, Troy Weaver has probably got a couple steps already in place, and we'll have to just witness amazing stuff to come. So thanks so much for listening. If you haven't yet, please subscribe to the channel, like the video, go check out my podcast, NuttieBuddie Sports, and comment below. Tell me what you thought about this trade for both teams. Thanks so much for listening. I hope you guys enjoyed. We'll talk to you guys soon.